DJ Hyde of Combat Zone Wrestling. It's good to see you.
And Women's Superstars Uncensored now. Oh. I own two company.
Oh, wow. Got mugged the camera. So, let's just get to business.
Right to business.
Yeah, right to business. You're here in the area for the upcoming show Deja Vu.
Correct. CCW will present Deja Vu from the Rockstar Pro Arena in Dayton, Ohio. For some reason, the address is escaping me right now. 1106 West 3rd Street. Oh my
East
God.
3rd.
East 3rd. Darn, I got that wrong. And I've been in that building a million times. But we're coming and bringing one of the top independent brands in the U.S. as well as the world now to Dayton, Ohio. We've been out here and ran a couple of successful shows. We've almost sold out the Rockstar Pro Arena a couple times. So now we're coming and we're going to do it again. That's why it's called Deja Vu.
Well, they good thing. I should probably come in. I mean, it's have a good time. 7:30.
You're more than welcome.
Yes,
I love to have all of Wright State University there.
Yeah. I'll definitely have to drop in. I'm a fan.
I can tell.
Yeah. I do. I mean, it's a pretty big card that you have going. I mean, let's see here. We have the Heavyweight Championship, CZW Championship, Drew Gulak versus Biff Busick.
Yes, Biff and Drew have pretty much, not just in Combat Zone Wrestling, but throughout wrestling in general, they have a rivalry. Drew is the former champion who Biff defeated. Biff is in a group called The Front. They're, I don't know if I should really say exactly what they are, but we'll just say they're gangster type people. They're not very friendly. Biff is kind of like the muscle. Sozio, who's also on the card, facing Caleb Conley, is the leader of The Front, and they've been embroidered with pretty much a big feud over the world title, as well as some issues with myself over probably predominantly the last 6 to 8 months. And Drew is finally getting his rematch here at Deja Vu in Dayton, Ohio, and it's a match that has been done everywhere. It's been done in CZW as well as other promotions, and it's never bad. Fans always enjoy it. I mean, they're going to face each other here, and then we have something coming up called the World Triangle League, which they're in the same bracket, so they'll be facing each other there. So those two are going to get even more with each other.
It's an eternal rivalry kind of going.
Pretty much. I think the tag team match for the Dayton, Ohio area is really, the World Tag Team title match is really what I think fans are looking to see.
Of course.
You have Jake and Dave Chris, OI4K, which stands for Ohio is for Killers, if people don't know that. This is their home. They have never won the CZW World Tag Team Championships. The Juicy product has literally started about a year ago, almost to the day, from the show, when they were put together by me. David Starr, who's a Combat Zone Wrestling Academy graduate, was trained by myself, and JT Dunn, who he's a Providence native, Providence, Rhode Island, literally was journeyman, and they worked really, really hard to get an opportunity, and I gave them an opportunity on a rectangular web event. They just wowed it. Then the next thing you know, you put them together, and now they are everywhere. These kids, they're all about belts and taunts and making their money. And I mean, they've been tearing up the independent scene left and right. And that is my phone on my wrist, yes. And these guys, the Juicy product that have won belts in many companies. That's one of the things they're known for is belts. And it really started in CZW where they took off. Obviously, they're kind of two homegrown guys that literally come out of our company, and now they're taking on Jake and Dave. A few short weeks ago, they did a ladder match, which is on CZW DVD, which you can actually get this Saturday at the show. Cheap shameless plug, because I had it finished before that. That was utterly ridiculous. You're talking guys falling off of ladders from 20 feet plus up through tables and ladders and chairs and everything else with themselves and the former champions, the Beaver Boys. And here, Jake and Dave was the team that when they first started, that Juicy product could not get past. Jake and Dave just kept beating them. And one time they did a tombstone double stop through a table to JT Dunn, and he couldn't walk for about 2 weeks. And it's kind of gotten a little personal, but it's really all about the CZW Tag Team titles. And you have the Juicy product who have titles everywhere. I mean, they're all about belts and taunts. And, their shirts, they say look at it, leave the hype, and then I think the new shirt is taunts, 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 something else. I forget what it says at the bottom. And they're the team. But Jake and Dave are, I mean, they're veterans. They've been in this business a long time, and they're company guys. They literally know how to get it done. They're the best, probably unsigned team in the business right now, in my opinion. I will say that. They get a lot of fans' opinions, and now this is their hometown. So this is the match that I think that the fans of Dayton, Ohio really want to see. And I expect if it's anything like anything I've seen from any of the previous encounters, you're going to get to witness something that's unlike anything else.
Sure. I mean, that just sounds really great for them to possibly win their first CZW Tag Team Championships, in their hometown.
Would be a pretty big deal to the fans here, but
yeah, but you can't stop Juicy Product.
You can't stop the Juicy Product, and the momentum that they have going into this is just it's I mean, they just won that ladder match that should have been the end all be all. And this is kind of like hey, we're gonna put them down one more time, and they're young and cocky and good looking, and they know it.
You got people like that, it would probably be really up their alley to crush a lot of.
I mean, they're young, they're good-looking kids, they're in shape, and you got Jake and Dave, and I mean, they're definitely Ohio, natives, and Dave is more the artistic, he's very a little out there. He's very Dayton, is what I like to call it, because he's always talking about the Midwest and the East Coast. People from the Midwest are a certain way, Deej, and it's like, this is just how it is, man. And it's Jake Christ, he's hardworking, blue collar. He has a family. They'll be accompanied by the beautiful Nevaeh, which is Jake's actual wife, and it's one of those things that you never know what can happen. And I think here, Jake and Dave, if it's anything like the last time we were here, Jake and Dave went out there and they wrestled AR Fox and Rich Swann. They're two very predominant independent names. They're both CZW homegrown guys too, and they killed it down. Like I can't. You have to watch that match to see. If you go back and watch our Prelude to Violence show from earlier this year, when we were last in Dayton in May, you can see what Jake and Dave can do. And I mean, they're second to none. And when it comes to Dayton, they are staples. They are the guys from Ohio.
So it really is just, I mean, there's so much momentum on both sides.
Pretty much.
Anyone's match.
I mean, you have Jake and Dave too. They're international talents. They've been all over the world with me. I've toured Japan with Jake and Dave. I've been to Europe. They recently went to Mexico this year. I mean, they know how to get it done. They're one of the top tag teams in the business. But the Juicy Product, they're the next big thing. They're blowing up. They're the young, brash guns that are just taking the world by storm.
That's fantastic. I'm really excited for that. You mentioned Nevaeh.
Nevaeh is wrestling Kimberly. Kimberly's in the campaign for a better combat zone. Nevaeh is in OI 4K. This is, we labeled this as a WSU feature match. These are two ladies who obviously are predominantly known in CZW with their two homegrown factions. Two big crowd favorites. And for WSU is my women's promotion, which sadly to say, the Juicy Products is also the tag team champions of. They got belts everywhere, man. They just collect belts.
Just kind of drawn to them.
They're trying to talk me into bringing Virgil in just to carry their belts. So that's legit too. That's a legitimate thing. It's kind of funny. But Nevaeh and Kimberly are two of the top women in independent wrestling. Kimberly, another CZW Wrestling Academy graduate trained by myself. She's a girl who's kind of taking the world by storm too. Young, brash, good looking, and she's everywhere. She just recently got back from Canada. She'll be going to Europe with me for the first time. And Nevaeh, I mean, definitely, especially in the Midwest area, Nevaeh is a girl that on the independent wrestling scene, everybody knows who she is. She is Ohio. She is a killer, and she wears it proud. And she represents from here. And these two girls have wrestled each other many, many times. They know each other quite well. They've actually had matches in CZW in Ohio, which Nevaeh has never beaten Kimberly. So, but there's been a lot of change. Kimberly is now a fan favorite. But out here, I don't see that being very well. Nevaeh, again, much like her husband, Jake Christ, and her brother-in-law, Dave, this is her town. And she really doesn't get a chance to wrestle out here, or wrestle girls of a Kimberly's caliber out here very often, and I think she really wants to prove a point that this is her home. She's the girl from here. This is what it is. And Kim, you know, Kim's just got to keep proving that, hey, I am the CZW girl. She was born and bred. She was the first girl to come out of the academy, the first graduate. You know, she's done a lot of things that not a lot of other girls can do. You know, she's very predominantly known for being a beautiful woman that wrestles guys. Like Brandon Ducey Product, her and JT Dunn have had tons of matches. You can find them on YouTube. She recently had a match with myself at our last event at CZW's Down with the Sickness. You know, and she literally has talents that are really unmatched. She's very athletic. She actually went to college for dance, of all things.
The dancers are phenomenal.
She has some very powerful legs. I'll tell you that. She's kicked me in the face and left a black eye on my face. You know, as well as she works hard. You know, anybody that follows her on her Instagrams or Twitter sees she's always in the gym. She's always busting her ass, and you know, taking it to the next level.
Of course. And that's really, really cool. I mean, you seem to be having some of the hottest talents. I mean, you said they were young and brash.
Well, if you look at wrestling as a whole, I think most fans follow the World Wrestling Entertainment or Impact Wrestling, probably predominantly World Wrestling Entertainment. You have guys like Dean Ambrose, who literally, you know, he started here in Ohio.
Former champion?
Former world champion, met me one day, and I talked to him, and a week later he moved to Philadelphia and started training with me. You have guys like Sami Callihan, who's now Solomon Crow, people like Jessica Havoc on TNA, Cesaro, Seth Rollins, or Luke Harper. See, I know them as other names, as like Cesaro's Claudio Castagnoli to me, or Dean Ambrose is John Moxley, you know, or Sami Callihan, Solomon Crow, or, you know, we can continue going on, Seth Rollins is Tyler Black, and the new generation of professional wrestlers have all come out of CZW for the most part. If you look at what WWE's NXT roster is right now, and look at some of their top guys, like Adam Neville, that's Pac. You know, I've known Pac for a long time. You look at Sami Zayn, that's El Generico. You know, you got guys.
Generico saving the orphans.
You have guys like they've recently signed Kevin Steen, who, you know, he's made his name down there. They have a couple of guys I've trained down there that are just some students. Bull Dempsey's another guy, you know, that's come out of, you know, the independent CZW area. You know, you start seeing guys like Kalisto Samurai del Sol. I mean, you can just go back and watch his matches from CZW. He might be under a different mask and have a different character, but that's what World Wrestling Entertainment does. You know, you look at guys that are in Impact, like I said, Jessica Havoc right now, she's the women's champion there. She's literally taking women's wrestling by storm. WSU champion. She's been in CZW, you know, many years. I actually literally just spent the day with her and Sami Callihan the other day when I was in Ohio. They were out here visiting Sami's dad. You have girls like her. You have people like Austin Aries. You know, there's Sanjay Dutts and DJ. What the hell are they calling him now? Shima Zion is what I call him.
DJ Z.
Oh yeah, like they've changed it. You know, guys like Rockstar Spud. Spud was in CZW. Anytime we go to England, Spud works for me. You have a ton of those talents down there, and if you look at what they've done, I'd say probably about 60% of my roster right now they've brought in to take a look at. Like my students are also like an example of this. I don't know what many fans know, but when you see those people that are rosebuds and security staffs, they're extras. They're independent workers who are part of the show. You know, I have one of my students who's Brittany Blake, who will be there at CZW. She's actually going to be working. She'll be pro shop manager that day. I'm working on our merchandise deal. Brittany Blake has been a rosebud many times, and she will be here in another couple weeks. You know, from this area, there's people like Crazy Mary Dobson or Matt Pondo, who literally like have been rosebuds, or Crazy Mary was Mrs. Makeup Artist a couple weeks back. You'll see them, and they're getting those looks where people are starting to come in. You know, CZW World Champion has worked there. I have worked for WWE many times. Not a lot of people know that because I try to keep it quiet, but now I'm old and it doesn't matter. But you'll see the guys like them. Drew Gulak, he's been there. You know, Jake and Dave got an offer from there before. I don't think a lot of people know that they literally hawk what we do. You know, I'll give you an example of something that I think is a funny story, and I'll try to keep this quick. So Drake Younger, I don't know if a lot of people know him from this area. He's wrestled. He's predominantly from the Midwest. But Drake Younger is the greatest, happiest man alive. I'm Drake Younger, man. I love you, DJI. Blah 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 blah. So he's at WWE Developmental Performance Center, and Drake is pretty much known like he's the only guy who's ever won Best of the Best, Tournament of Death, King of the Death matches. I mean, he has bled buckets, and he's currently under WWE developmental contract as a referee. And so they do something called Tape Study Day, and he's down there with Terry Taylor, who's one of the top guys, top trainers there. Him and Billy Gunn are doing Tape Study Day. And he calls me, he was like, hey DJ, like, you never guess what happened, man. I'm like, what? He goes, you never guess what we're doing for CCW, or for Tape Day. And I'm like, what? He's like, we're watching Tangle Web 4. I'm going, Psycho Circus deathmatch? He's like, yeah. He's like, me and Scotty Vortex. He goes, I got guys coming up to me like the Big Show, afraid to talk to me. He goes, it's crazy, man. It's just like you never know what's going on. He's like, and it's just like, it's so funny because like, you're talking like, this was a show from 3 or 4 years ago that Drake did with one of his best friends, Scotty Vortex. And I mean, panes of glass, 2 ring, and 1 ring was a complete web of barbed wire. Scaffold bumps into the wire. I mean, like ridiculous amounts of blood. Scotty severed a tendon in his hand in this match, and you got guys like Terry Taylor and you know Joey Matthews and things like that watching these, and these are the head trainers there. These are the guys, you know, Norman Smiley, and they're teaching the next generation of professional wrestlers, and they're going, hey, this is CZW, study these guys. You know what I'm saying? This is what we're doing for Tape Day. And it's kind of funny because Sammy Callahan's one of my best friends, and he'll just laugh. He goes, you know, they just got the whole library down here, Deej. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, Moxley, he's like, yeah, I just don't know why they just keep buying your DVDs. He's like, they could just get them for free. He's like, you just send me everything. So they keep, like, you know, there's been some pictures on Twitter and Facebook, like especially with Ambrose or Moxley. I have a hard time calling him Ambrose, but like Mox, he'll be wearing CCW shirts out in public. Yeah, we just send him stuff. Like it's like he'll call me, hey, yes, Danny has that new cool I'm a deathmatch drunker shirt. Can I get one? I'm like, okay. Here, like, can we just send you a whole bunch of stuff at once? Because it gets annoying with him because he'll like see something and be like, I want that, and then 2 weeks later, I want this. Why didn't you just ask this for 2 weeks ago? And I'm sending you the stuff for free. Why do I gotta pay $20 for shipping? You know, like, and then he's like, I don't know where I'm gonna be today. I'm in some town. And that's how they are. It's you know, it's one of those things where you kind of see those things, and like it's weird because like you'll see like, and Ambrose does this a lot. Like if you watch Dean Ambrose and study things he does things to literally, like his moveset is based around CZW guys. Like it's really funny. Like he does little mannerisms and things. Like I'm just waiting on him to break out one of these and do the Zandig pose. But he'll do mannerisms to pay homage to guys, or he'll do a move set that like my gimmick is the lariat. I throw my finish is a lariat. Like when he does that, he tries to make the guys flip, which is something that I do, and then he'll do that thing like it's because that's my thing. He does that just for me every once in a while, and and they'll call me like, I did that just to make fun of you, Deej. And it's like, you know, it's. You know, you get random text messages from him where he does crazy stuff. But like a lot of the guys do that, you know, like, you know, Drake will send me pictures with him, Kevin Steen, and their kids, and be like, babies, man. Babies. And they'll be like sitting out in front of like the WWE Performance Center with like the big thing, and I'm like, what are you doing? Are you training your kids now? They're like 2. You know, like, so you'll see things like that, that those guys do. It makes it feel, you know, a little nice. I went on a way different rant from going through the card.
This is some good stuff.
But that's, well, I could tell you some crazy stuff, but we're not gonna get into that. But you'll see that there's things like that, and like how WWE studies us. Impact Wrestling, like my mentor is Al Snow. He's the guy who literally probably molded him and Tommy Dreamer are probably the 2 guys I say at this point, and Les Thatcher, who have molded me into what I am today. Obviously, if you watch Impact, Tommy and Al are 2 of the biggest agents there. Tommy's frequently on their shows recently. You know, they have a great, heavily influenced. We have a big connection there. It's actually how people like Jessica Havoc got there. And you never know what they're going to look for. Obviously, they're going through a bit of a transition right now, business-wise, and you know, with their TV deal. And you know, once they get that settled, they're always looking for the next big thing. There's always somebody else that's going to come out of there. You know, there's always the next guy. Or, you know, you see people from Japan, New Japan Wrestling's a huge company. They have guys like, you know, funny stories is like AJ Styles, like people don't know this, but like my fiance, AJ introduced us. You know, and then in February this year, he returned back to CZW to wrestle Gulak. And it was like, I haven't seen him in probably 4 or 5 years, you know, and literally it was like, oh, hey, Lauren, you know, like he, just like it happened yesterday. And, you know, now it's like, hey, I'll get a text message. Hey, man, just want to think about you, blah, blah, blah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. That's how our business works, unfortunately, but sometimes people are bricks, too, so. But back to the wrestling card, I guess, is where we'll go.
I don't know. I was enjoying all these tales of camaraderie.
Oh, I can tell some tales of crazy stuff, too.
Before we get back to that card, I mean, just your Moxley impressions were phenomenal. I just want to ask, because the way you were kind of telling about him, is he as unhinged as he comes off?
Dean Ambrose is Jon Moxley. There's not, like, he is definitely, what you're watching with him, and one of the things that I like about John, what you're seeing with him, that's how he is.
Wow.
I mean, he's not like he's a psychopath, but he's not.
Right.
He's one of those guys that when he worked for me, and like, I mean, at one time we were really close, and he's probably one of my best friends in the world. But obviously with his schedule now, like I can't call him. Like, you won't get him on the phone. I'll get a text or a Vox. I don't know if fans out there know what Voxer is. It's one of those cool apps you get on your phone. But you can get him on that, and it's usually like 3 in the morning, you know? Or like he'll be doing something. Like most recently they did that special on the Shield. And they had like a bunch of pictures of him from CZW and crazy death matches, and then the clip of him and Drake, you know, killing each other and doing stuff like that was all. He made sure that went to us, you know, and he's like, they didn't use anything good. Like, what are they, stupid? Like, I understand, dude. She's like, why did you tell them to use this? I go, this is what they wanted, and this is what they gave us money for. So we're very happy that we got a couple dollars to, you know, buy some stuff that we need, you know. And he's like, well, you need to call that dude back and tell those guys that, like, you know, like, they need to use the stuff from TOD8. Remember? Because, like, they took a saw to his head. And he's like, yeah, why aren't they using that? He's like, that's going to get people's attention. He would literally probably call me and say things like, I remember I'll be sitting in my house, he'll come in, so I got this idea, Deej. Tell me if I'm crazy. He goes, but wouldn't it be cool if we just sat there and made everything stupid? And I go, what are you talking about? And he's like, so I want to take this and do this match with brain damage where it's like a dinner plate match, and we just start breaking plates over each other's heads and stabbing each other with forks. And I'm like, what are you, stupid? He's like, it'll work, Deej. It's like an iconic image now. Like it's like they start the match sitting down at a table and like they're putting on napkins, and it's like a crazy death match. And I'm like, this makes no sense, you know. But it was over with the fan base, and like I remember watching back at that. He's taking you can find this on YouTube, by the way, if you guys want. Dean Ambrose taking a sawzall, a moving blade to his head. You know, like that's what he does, and he comes up with those ideas. And creatability that is just like that. And how I'm talking and making my manners about him, like that's how he is. He doesn't change, he's a real person. So that's wild.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you look at guys like I'm probably, I mean, speaking freely and out of character, I'm one of the top heels in independent wrestling. I'm very well disliked. And if you come and you see like, oh, DJ's a good person in that interview, yeah, come to the show. I'll piss you off. Yeah, because you know, you're gonna see some of the top guys and girls from everywhere. You know, we bring in a lot of international talent too. So we try to give what I call the buffet of professional wrestling, where it's something for everybody. You're gonna get to see, like on our card, you have Ron Mathis doing a crazy hardcore thumbtack glass leg tubes, like all kinds of stuff. You have beautiful women, Nevaeh and Kimberly. You know, you have that great, crazy, super indie-rific tag team match. You got me, you know, I'm a hard-hitting guy. You're going to have, you know, a technical battle with Drew Gulak and Biff Busick. And, you know, Shane Strickland and Flip Kendrick are going to go out there and do stuff that you've never seen. And on top of that, we'll have some funny things, and we'll have, you know, just a little gamut of everything for everybody. And I think that's what fans are going to get to see.
That is a great story. I love them. I could listen to wrestling stories all day.
I could be here all day.
Yeah, sadly, we don't have all day. So I just want to say, so, you know, people who come to this show, you know, Deja Vu, Rockstar Arena, would you say that they're kind of seeing maybe some of the biggest names on the indies, as well as maybe...
Yeah, my take on independent wrestling is I want to give fans something for everybody. I mean, that's what it was built on. So when I took over, I've transitioned it to where it's like, hey, you know, I want to be Baskin Robbins. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to be just chocolate and vanilla. I want to have the 51 flavors and the variety, and give something to, hey, I come for this. This is why I come to the show, and I get this out of it. I might not like the death match, but I like the great wrestling, you know, so it's a catch-22.
What you'd say, I guess, is kind of CZW's thing. 'Cause I know, you know, in the past, obviously, you guys were known for things like the ultra-violence, the saws, but now, you know, you have the ultra-violence, but you also look forward to that. I'm definitely coming. Absolutely.
So all these people.
Yeah. Better be coming. So, thank you. Thank you
for having
very
me.
much.
I really appreciate it.